And we're live! Oh no, what we're singing. Welcome, everyone, to the 17th episode of Paulette and Becs Wine Lives.
Cheers.
Cheers to that.
And no, it's not pee or wine. I decided to have a beer.
Yeah, tonight is make your own. Decide your own, if you will. And I've decided to go with some agua this evening.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, I just got home from a 12-hour shift at work. Went a little late, and I walked in the door, and I jumped on here with Paulette, and I said, I just feel like a beer. Sometimes, you just don't really feel like that glass of wine. I love me some wine. I even have it ready. And I was looking at it, and I thought, I just want a nice cold beer.
It wasn't specking to you.
Yeah, wasn't speaking. So,
that is okay.
Let us know what you have grabbed with us tonight and what you are. I hope I'm not the only one with a beer, but I am more than okay if you are drinking wine.
We have two lucky viewers on with us right now.
Ooh, hello.
Shall we shout them out? We've got Tina. Good old. We got Tina on the line, and we also have Carrie Kane.
Carrie. You guys are big orders. Round of applause. So we're having a little bump in the road today. Yeah. And this is life. This is what happens. The beautiful Kim Castle, we are hoping, is going to be able to jump on with us. We will give her a huge shout out when we find out whether she can join us. But we are having some technical difficulties. There has been some sick children today. And you know what? That's just mom life. That's just what we do. How it is. And so Paulette and I are just kind of winging it tonight. We're going to just chit chat a little bit until we hear from Kim. And if she's not able to join us tonight, we will have her on in the very near future because her story is amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
So
Keegan is on too. Hi, Keegs. Yeah. So let's say, how about we talk about our week? How was your week, my friend?
My week has been a slight emotional roller coaster. Got a few things happening in my family that is a little hard on the heart, but I have a very sick auntie. Love her very, very much. So going through some things there. And then not only that, Kent was home for maybe 24 hours this week. Sometimes life can just be super challenging. I want to do a shout out to single moms.
Cheers.
Moms. Because, cheers to ladies and single dads, any single parent I want to specify. Because I did 24 hours. Kent was home for 24 hours. And I am so, so happy he got to go away hunting. So he came home from work, was home for like a day and a half, went away hunting with my brother and my dad on Vancouver Island for a good 5 days, flew home 24 hours. And you know what? It was total chaos because in those days, Caleb goes to daycare he went 1 day last week. I have to mix in my shift work. So that's 12-hour shifts. Thank goodness it was day shifts this whole last week. And then I just did 2 more. I have incredible in-laws who take my son overnight for my shifts. So that helps me immensely. I don't have to worry about them. I have 2 dogs that I'm looking after as well.
Cheers to the pansies.
Fur babies.
Woo!
And I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, sorry.
But fur babies, they just put a little damper in that little speech of mine. I'm trying to think of where I was headed. See, this is what after a lovely 12-hour shift of mine.
It's that kind of week, guys. Honestly, it's just
I spent time in emergency with my son this week.
Oh, right.
So, oh my gosh, I don't know about you guys, but I need to drop me in the comments. I want to hear some crazy things that your 2-year-olds have done, children, anytime in their lives that has just made you go, what the heck were you thinking? I don't even
tell the people.
I want to hear it in the comments. Okay, so my son, 2.5, he is, if anyone has met him, if you have not met a little boy who is redheaded, feisty, crazy little 2-year-old, You need to. He's wild. He's amazing. But he's hard to keep up to. Anyways, Kent was home 24 hours. And we spent a good 4 hours on his last day in the emergency room in Cranbrook here because Kent went to change Caleb's diaper and we don't know where he got this little metal washer. It was about yay big, but it had jagged edges. It was called a lock washer. And he decided, Kent said, "Can I have that, Caleb?" as he goes to change his diaper. And Caleb just right in the mouth, down the hatch.
Ooh, I didn't know he did it right in front of him.
Right in front of his dad. Kent's like trying to get in his mouth, he's like, "What is happening?" But it was gone.
I love Caleb.
And then our son lifts his shirt. He goes, "In my belly."
Oh my god.
I eat it, he says.
So Kim's on. Sorry.
We are in Emerge. We're running around the hospital. It's all my coworkers. It's total chaos. And we're sitting there. It's about 4 hours. He gets an x-ray. Sure enough, there's this washer. And you can clearly tell that it's not connected. So it's got jagged edges. This concerns us. And so, Kim is here.
Kim is on.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you can hear me or anything.
Oh, yes.
Okay, good.
And we're going to introduce Miss. So we spent the day in Emerge, and then the surgeon said, okay, like make sure he eats lots, and we will get him back in here tomorrow. And if he has any tummy pain, come back. Well, needless to say, he came back the next day. I was actually working. So my mother-in-law, oh my gosh, they're absolutely amazing. Did the x-rays again. Sure enough, it had moved further down, but it was not out. And I got a lovely text yesterday at about 4:30 saying, "It has been delivered."
Yay for poops! Cheers to poops.
Cheers to my mother-in-law for sifting through that. She did thank me for giving her gloves. So,
oh, nice.
her with this incident.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So we have now the beautiful Kim. Now Kim Castle. That is a very new name change.
Yes, it is. It is. Okay, so hold on. It's kind of lagging on my end, but is it on your end? Like, as long as you can hear me, it's fine.
Yeah, no, you're good on my end. I'm lagging on my end. I know that.
Paulette is always from a movie.
Yeah, like I speak and then 2 seconds later my mouth moves. It's awesome.
This is normal. It seems normal to me now.
Yeah, it's all part of the experience.
All part of the experience. Fabulous. Oh my gosh. Too funny.
Here, Miss Kim. So Kim, tonight she's going to talk about her last just over a year. We actually met last April officially at an event that we went to, so personal development. But you owned a daycare for 8 years, is that correct?
Preschoolish. I worked in daycares, but preschool I owned for 8 years.
Okay, and then you have been with Ian 13?
Yes, it was 13 in August. I moved here in 2005, June of 2005, and we met in July of 2005.
Amazing. So 13-year relationship. She's got so much to tell us just last year. It has evolved, changed. They have 2 beautiful children. So we were so excited to hear your story and your journey and how it all started.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for welcoming me on. I don't have wine. I have tea. It's been a long day. Challenges of motherhood have kind of presented itself early in the middle of the night. So tea, wine, hard liquor, whatever.
I have wine tonight here.
Nice. Oh my gosh. So I'm just going to kind of basically interrupt me at any point if you have questions that pop up, if I'm rambling, if there's things that you want to know, if there's things that you don't want to know. But basically, when Rebecca asked me, well, actually, no, she didn't ask me. I kind of imposed myself onto the Wine Live. Only because, well,
and we have this list of people that we're going to ask, and Kim is on our list, and I was like, oh my gosh, like we just haven't gotten to asking you yet.
That's awesome. So I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but nonetheless, I kind of wanted to hop on tonight and share with whoever's watching and whoever's watching the replay a little bit of how I got to where I am right now. So I'm just going to backtrack just a little bit. Rebecca kind of mentioned 13 years in the making. We have 2 children, 9 and 4, boy and a girl. I moved out west from just outside of Montreal in the eastern townships of Quebec in 2005 with my one suitcase. And I had just finished school back then. I had done my early childhood education through distance ed in Montreal. And then I packed up my suitcase and I moved here. A friend had already been living here for about 6 months. And as I mentioned earlier, I moved here on June 27th of 2005. And on the weekend of July 15th, I met Ian in passing, walking down to the club. We kind of met each other. The friend that I was living with had known him because she worked at the 7-Eleven. And I just left it at that, whatever. And then a couple weekends later, she begged me to go out for my birthday weekend. And I was like, no, I'm so not a partier. I'm not going out for my weekend. She's like, come on, just once, just once. And I was like, okay, fine. So anyways, I get there and who's there? Ian's there. And so, of course, he buys me a drink, blah, blah, blah. Found out months down the road that he actually wasn't able to pay his rent that night because he bought me some drinks. So that was kind of like, oh, well, okay, maybe you're a little bit of a keeper. So anyways, we proceeded to hang out and obviously started dating. And then a month and a half later, I moved in with him. So you can only imagine what my family's reaction was. They're like, what? You moved across the country? You met this boy at a club and now you're moving in with them? Like, this is crazy. So, so anyway, so we moved in together. I met his family and everything. And how did it work again? I went to apply for a job as a caregiver, and they basically told me that my credentials weren't acceptable. So then I had to get them accredited and so on and so forth. And they sent me this lovely letter back saying that, sorry, all your credits are not valid in BC. They're only applicable in Quebec. So I decided to go back to school. And Ian supported me through that. So this was 2005. I went back to school in September of 2006, a 2-year program. So I did school and he was finishing his carpentry red seal at the same time. So anyways, I redid my schooling, and then fast forward, I worked in childcare for about 9 years or so. And then we had our son in 2009. And then 2 months after our son was born, Ian's brother passed away unexpectedly. And so basically, that's where my life really shifted. I was a new mom. I was super excited about having this cute little bundle of joy that, peed and barfed and slept and did whatever else. But on the other token, everybody around me was grieving. And trying to keep it together, being a mom, trying to take care of my child, but also trying to keep everybody else together was a real challenge in the moment. So it really took a toll on our relationship. It also took a toll on his own life personally. He just was in a very dark place. Hi, Mickey. Thanks for hopping on. And so basically, anyways, ups and downs through life. Our son is, like I said, 9 now. And then in the meantime, we had our daughter who was now 4. And I would say for the last, well, it's been almost 2 years, I guess, since we've been online. But I would say for like the next good 7 years after our son was born, it was really, for lack of a better word, really shitty. And we struggled a lot. We fought all the time. We were on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And I honestly, the one reason I came into the online world was because I wanted to find a way to support my own family financially by myself. Because up until this point, anybody who's in the ECE field knows that you really can't make an extraordinary living being a child care worker, unfortunately. And it's very emotionally and physically taxing and so on and so forth, right? So, nonetheless, I joined in January of, I guess it's going to be 2 years. It's January of 2017. And I did it kind of secretively. I never told Ian about it. A, because he didn't understand the online part of things. B, because he's, sorry, honey, computer illiterate. And I was like, well, if I'm going to make this happen, I'm obviously not going to tell him, right? Like, we were really done. We were, okay, we're leaving each other, so on and so forth, right? And so anyways, so I do the 2 weeks, I check it all out. I'm like, okay, how am I going to explain this to him? Like, I have no idea what I'm saying. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to learn. And it just kind of spiraled from there. And I would say for like the first 6 months, he didn't understand a thing of what I was saying. And at that point, I really didn't care because it was more for me and not for him. And it was just really, I'm just going to focus on this and make this work for me kind of thing, right? And then that year, we went to an event in Vancouver. That was the first year for the Jeezy online event. And we heard a speaker there by the name of Keala Kanai. And Ian really resonated with him. And he was like, wow, I really like how he spoke and this and that. And I mean, keep in mind that Ian was super reluctant about going to Vancouver in the first place. He's like, what are we doing? Where are we going? Who are we going to meet? You know, all that jazzy stuff, right? So anyways, he agreed to come, A, because we wanted to get away from the kids and whatever else, right?
And so important to know too is like with these online events and everything, it's like just like the positive mindsets and like you're gonna get around all these people that are so supportive, and it's just like a massive group of people, and if you haven't been part of any of it, it's kind of intimidating. And it's like
absolutely
people are positive and this like supportive in life, because it's not something that's normal in the world these days, because there's so much negativity around and people always looking for the worst outcome as opposed to like what could it be, like where are we going. So it's especially for someone who's in a mindset of like not open to like sort of it, right?
Yep.
So it really need to know like that he still went to it, right? Like he decided to
that
go,
was a huge step.
And like look where it's taken you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like honestly, like I look back of like the unfolding of all the events, and I'm like, wow, like had that particular moment not happened and heard the 2 or 3 speakers that we heard that day, you know, who knows where we would be. But I remember him, like it was only, was it 2 days or 3 days? Maybe it was 3 days overall kind of thing, but 2 days of speaking. And I remember him at the end when we were on the yacht and we were talking to Keala, and he was like, oh, there's another event happening in Vegas and so on. And there was just like this little glimmer of hope in Ian's eye of like, maybe I should check that out. Like, you know, I don't know. And so I kind of let it, because I thought, wow, I've really like bombarded you with all this stuff this weekend. I'm just going to let it sit for a little bit and simmer. And then he came back and he was like, I've never been surrounded by so many amazing, positive people. Like just for the 2 days, it literally felt like I'd been like wrapped up in this big, huge, warm blanket with all these awesome people, right? And who genuinely care about you and who genuinely want you to succeed, not necessarily just in business life, but in your personal life, right? And he talked to some people, and I had talked to some people who had gone through some really crappy things in their life. And I was like, wow, and you're here like telling me this story and you're smiling about it and you're telling me what you've learned. And I was like, whoa. So, I mean, that weekend in itself was pretty pivotal for us. But
was that Awaken? That was Awaken in Vegas?
No, this was the Jeezy event in Vancouver.
Okay. Oh, I thought okay.
We haven't even made it to Awaken yet. So no, we talked to Keala that day on the boat, and he was like, oh, there's another event happening. I'll put you on the email list and so on and so forth. So I thought, oh, okay, whatever. And everybody in the community had talked to us about Awaken, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, can you at least tell me what it is? Like, can you explain it to me? And they're like, we're sorry, we really can't. You have to go and you have to be part of it. And I was like, oh, okay. How am I going to explain this to Ian? Like, you know? And so we got the email the one day and they're like, early bird, half price ticket. So I called him at work one day and he's like, book it. I was like, shit, I got to hang up quick. I got to do this before he changes his mind, right? So I go ahead and I book it. And I think I'm probably the only one that got it that price, because everybody else after I talked to, they're like, oh yeah, we got it at the, you know, like whatever it was, $200 or $300 off. And I was like, oh, I kind of got mine at half price off, but whatever, I'm just going to roll with it. And so anyways, this was back in September and the event wasn't until November, right? And we get to the event in Vegas, still not knowing what we're doing. And we sit in the room, and I don't want to say too much about the event because I know that there's a lot of people that are watching that are potentially going to go. But I will say one thing that was really like life-changing for him in that moment, and for us as a couple, was basically to realize how codependent we were on each other. Like, not necessarily in the financial terms of things, but as an emotional sense, right? And the host basically said to us, he kind of gave us the rundown a little bit. We're sitting beside each other. We're super nervous. We're like, what the heck's happening? There's 120 people in the room. And then all of a sudden we go for break and he comes back and he says, now you can't sit beside the person that you came with. And immediately he was like, like, this is not happening. What are you talking about? Like, I'm sitting right here with you. I'm like, he knows that we came in as a couple. Like, don't try to fool him. He knows, you know? And so I could see in his face, like, yeah, absolutely, Rebecca. Like, I could see in his face, like, the sheer holy crap. Like, what am I going to do with myself? And we had rented a big house with a whole bunch of people. And I had said to him at that point, I said, look, I said, you're not obligated to be here. I said, if you want to leave, you're more than welcome to leave, but I'm staying. And you and I both know that we paid to be here, and you know that it's beneficial in the long run, and so on and so forth, right? So anyways, he agreed to stay. And every so often I'd like peek over and look at him and see if he was still alive and not like curled up in a corner somewhere. And he connected with this really awesome, big burly Harley guy who was like, oh, you know, he looked rough and tough and whatever, but he was like the biggest teddy bear inside. And they connected and they headed off, and they, like, to this day now, he still talks to him. He's like, thanks, man, for, you know, helping me out, and so on and so forth. And the guy's like, I don't know, 50 something, right? So anyways, so that weekend in itself, we learned a lot about what we actually wanted from our relationship, right? And we, amazingly enough, had never really connected on that level in the whole, at that point, it had been 11 years that we'd been together, 12 years almost, and really known what we wanted from each other. Like, we had been so wrapped up in life and kids and bills and, you know, like everyday kind of things, right? And to have those 3 days to really connect and to be vulnerable and to allow other people to help us and to learn through them and for them to learn through us. And like, it was crazy. Like, that was the most like 3-day emotional roller coaster that I'd ever gone through. And I got to.
Yeah, sorry. I always say when I came back from that, I felt like I was hungover emotionally.
Totally.
For like a week.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of me was on a high, but part of me was like, holy crap, what did I just go through? Like, how did I not know all these things about myself, you know? And
like, you leave there and it's like, whoa, I just met myself.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like, I was just to who I am, because we often, like, at least for myself, I shouldn't say we, I was like constantly changing myself and doing things thinking it would please someone and make someone happy, and yet it just like digs into a hole. Like, I was just going downhill feeling emotionally, but I was like, it's making everyone else, so it's okay. And then learn that you get reintroduced, and it's just like, whoa, what have I been doing like 10 years?
Yeah. And that's basically what, like, that's basically where it hit me as to, okay, I had learned to like emotionally cope when Ian's brother had passed away, because I had to take care of my family. And I was like, okay, this is what I got to do. Like, people are grieving, people are sad. I really got to keep it together. And I had just rode that wave the whole time, right? And then after a while, you get completely emotionally drained and you can't provide anything to anybody because you're so exhausted. And when I had the moment to be like, no, this is what I want. This is not what I want to give you. This is what I want, and this is what I need. That was like the moment of crap. Like, if I don't do this, we're done. Like, this is what she wants. This is what we need to work on, right? So, anyway, so basically we went through that weekend and we came back and we really connected. We really had a great, kind of like the start of these awesome conversations, like just being aware of each other and what we wanted from each other, and like when we needed a break, and when the other person was like, hey, like we haven't gone out on a date in a while, or like all the little things that we had all done at the beginning of our relationship that had kind of fueled the fire and been like super exciting and so on, right? And we were back at it and it felt awesome. It was like, it gives me goosebumps now that I talk about it. Like, it was so rejuvenating, and for our son and our daughter to be able to experience that with us, and to like see that after all these years and all that emotional baggage, that we were able to kind of work through it and be like, okay, you know, we still do love each other. Yes, we fight. Yes, we argue. Yes, you know, whatever, but we still come back to each other. So anyways, so we basically did the first event, and then we hummed and hawed about the second event, and we, I'd say maybe 2 weeks after, we had a conversation with somebody, and we're like, okay, like the mere fact that we're hesitating about it is proof that we need to do it. So we decided to go ahead and jump in, and we did the second event, which is where we met Rebecca and Kent. And it's kind of funny because I was more nervous this time around than Ian was. And I remember sitting in the bus with Rebecca in front of me going, where am I going? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is crazy. Like, all of these people are in the bus with me. And again, without telling too much, because I really want people to.
We're driving through like this desert and we're like, where the heck
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I can still remember the feeling in the pit of my stomach.
Like, what are they going to do? What more can they bring out of it? Like,
yeah.
Literally, like, what more is there? Because, like, we learned so much at this first course. How can they possibly? We were very, very, very mistaken.
Oh my gosh, were we ever? But then again, we spent 7 days, and I would say by day like 3, so keep in mind that we got there, and Ian at first wasn't feeling very nervous. I was feeling a little bit anxious and so on. He knew one other person or 2 other people, and I only knew one person that was going. And so anyways, so we go through the event, and on the 3rd day, that's when we really have the opportunity. I think it was the 3rd or the 4th. We really had the opportunity to be vulnerable with each other and really share stuff that was really deep and intense, and it was so liberating. It was so liberating. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I really don't. It was just kind of this like all that like stuff that you kind of build up, like, you know, when you build up something with your good friend and you're like, oh, I really don't want to talk about this or whatever, or like, as opposed to when you do it with a family member, like, it's a totally different level. And then when you're kind of put in that situation, it turns into this like really big moment of, oh my gosh, like, how have I not been there for you this whole entire time, you know? And then there goes like through feelings of guilt and blah, 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 right? But anyways, fast track, we went through the second event. It was awesome. It was amazing. And then we decided to go through to the 3rd event. And at this point, we're like, woohoo, let's go. We're going, you know, like, we're both super excited. We've made leaps and bounds in our relationship. We're actually like self-care for each other. We're taking time for each other. We're having awesome conversations. And this whole time, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing in the sense of work, right? Like, yes, I have this online business. I have an amazing community that supports me, and I love it. I love it 100%. And then there's Ian and I who have a construction company. And as much as he enjoys his work, it's physically demanding on him. And we had so many opportunities to travel in that last year. Like we did Vegas, we did New Mexico, we did, the third event. And then we, as a family, went to Costa Rica in January. And I was like, wow, I just want to get up and I want to go. I want to go see the world. I want to like show my children what there is. And like, how in the world are we going to do this? And then everything was like falling into place as the online opportunity was really like, hello, like, can you not see that this is possible for you? Like, and for the longest time, I didn't believe that it was, right? Like, you see everybody else going, oh yeah, I've made it, I've done this, and I'm going this, and I'm making this much. And I'm like, why? Why do I have this stupid belief in my head that I can't do it for me? And through these events, I was able to discover why and what those stupid beliefs were. And it's funny because they still come back, like they're never gone. They still come back, but now I'm able to catch them and be like, okay, no, be quiet and move on and, kind of reprogram your thinking, right? So I don't know where I was going with that. But anyways, so basically I had come to kind of a personal agreement that I was done with early childhood education because I was completely exhausted and I didn't find it fair to my own children, being exhausted and then coming home and having to be with them. So I let go of that. And then I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to work online and then take care of Ian's stuff, right? And I was at my last event and we were going through this amazing experience. And I kind of had this like aha moment. And we did this exercise that determines your highest values. And so basically, whatever you kind of focus the most on, whatever you spend the most time with, most money on, blah, 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 is kind of where your values sit in the lineage, I guess. And I've always been the person who will take my shirt off my back for you. I will always be there for my friends before myself. I will put my family second to go help my friends. So relationships are really high on my value list. And I was having a conversation with somebody one day and he said to me, so why aren't you helping people? Like he said, you're so passionate about how you were able to transform your relationship. So why are you not working with people and helping them transform their relationships? And I was like, oh, I don't know, because I never really thought about that. And so anyways, we got to talking and so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden, everything just started falling into place. Like there was a school application that was done. There was like student loans. There was like all these, oh, sorry, give me half a second. No. And then there was all these books that were coming up and so on. And I thought, I'm going to be a marriage counselor. And it just kind of made sense to me in the way of working on relationships, working with people, sharing my journey, sharing my story. And really, like, it pains me to see how many people give up so quickly. And I could have given up a long time ago. Like, like there was, trust me, there was a lot of times where I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm just exhausted. I don't even want to go there. As opposed to continuing and fighting for what I truly believed in. Right. So, people often ask me, what's the one thing that you felt kind of shifted your relationship? And I have to say it was when I stopped focusing on all the negative things that was happening. Like when I just did that one little shift of what's the one great thing that he did today or said or whatever, right? As opposed to all those nagging little things that I was like, gosh, you're so annoying when you do this or that or whatever, right?
And even just like holding those expectations. I know that's huge that like Kent and I learned, because our story is very different than Kim and Ian's, but it's very similar in the aspect of 10 years and just like lots of frustrations, lots of up and downs, like leaving once, twice actually. And it was just like so many things, right? And it's just these expectations that you hold on each other of what you expect the relationship to be. And it's like, well, this, and this for me. They're not even those thoughts that your partner has. And it's like, you start to realize that holding these expectations is like, why don't we just do those things ourselves, and we release these expectations? And it's amazing how you can see what the other person is actually doing for you. Like, whoa, how did I miss this for so many years? Because it wasn't exactly what I wanted to see. But when you pick out the good things that they're doing, like you said, just one thing a day that you're so grateful for, or whatever that they did, it's just, it changes the relationship tenfold. Yeah,
absolutely. And to like think that all of this has happened in less, like it was a year just this past November 2nd, right? When we officially started the events, and so much has changed in just like our conversations, our thought processes, our perceptions, our like, you know, there's always balance in the sense that you can't have happiness without sadness. You can't have dark without light. Like you really, and we were asked at one point at one of the events, because I had said to her, I said, why do I have to wait until I'm 30 some odd years old to know this stuff? Like, why could I not have been taught this beforehand and like pass through all that bullshit, right? And she said, well, gosh, she said it so perfectly in the moment. I just like started crying when she said it. She basically said something along the lines of, well, what have you learned from everything that's happened? Like, where would you be if that had not happened? Kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess you're right. But, you know, like none of that, like I wouldn't have been able to come to this point in my relationship had I not gone through all that other crap, right? And so it's really interesting for us to now, like even when we like get caught up and we're in an argument or whatever the case is, we'll both just look at each other. We'll say something of, you know, like tools that we've learned or conversations that we've had or things that we want to be held accountable for. And we'll just kind of give each other the glare, and they'll be like, oh crap. Okay. You know, and then we'll like just catch each other and be okay. We're back on track kind of thing. Right. And so, it's really been, and like to think that all of this happened only because I wanted a way out financially. Like that's why I clicked on the ad, right? Like that's why all of this happened, right? So, I mean, I laughed about it.
It's often bigger than that, right? You don't know as it at the time.
Yeah. You look back through them, and I mean, like even at my wedding, and I had like my 15 friends that I'd known for like 6 months that were closing down the dance party, and we were having a blast and we were laughing, and I was like, wow, I feel like I've known you people for like 20 years. Like, where did you come from? Oh, it's, I don't know. But on the same token, you could go years being quote unquote friends with somebody, but not really knowing them and not really being at their level or at whatever values that they value or that they don't value your values. Then you're just going to be butting heads all the time. And then when you find somebody who's like at the same level as you, you're like, oh, hi, let's go. You know? So
incredible how just the conversation shift of like, instead of sitting on the couch watching Netflix all the time, like I still do it. It's nothing's wrong with it, but just that's all you do when you hang out with your friends and you don't have those conversations of where do you want to go in life? Like, what are your goals? How can I support you? Like, how can we do this together. Like, where are we going? And it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
fine, you meet these people and you're on the same pages, even though we all have these pasts that are like, they can be pretty dark, but the past matter. And it's like, there's nothing is held on you or judged or anything. And it's amazing that release of just like literally getting to be you and everyone loving you. And it's like, that's a crazy feeling, because that's not normal in this world anymore. So like the movement happening with all of this is insane. And it's so cool to go through these things, because you get to meet people, even like some of your closest friends don't know the stuff that you've told these people, and they know you so well that it's like the people that you pick your phone up to call, it changes.
Yeah.
Because instead of calling someone that you know is going to tell you what you want to hear, you're going to call someone is going to tell you what you need to hear, or what around the real situation of like, okay, I need to know like the truth here, like how I'm feeling. Is this real or not? Like, is this way out of line? And it's really neat to find those people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like,
I'm looking for them right now, so.
No, but I mean, like, and I talk about this with my counselor all the time. Like, there's in the past, 2 years now almost, so many times where I've lost friends, or they've just grown distant, or they're like, oh, you're crazy, you're doing this online thing, blah, 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 blah. You know, like, there's all these excuses in the book, right? And I'm like, is the fact that I'm working on myself reflecting on you so poorly that you can't even have a conversation with me about this? Like, that's messed up. Like, so many times I'm like, wow, like, you must really be in A, a dark place, but B, also not really value my friendship, because or else you would have talked to me about it a long time ago, right? Like, or we would be able to have a conversation without any quote unquote problems. Like, so yeah, it's interesting, but I wouldn't trade it in for the world. Absolutely not. Like,
and that's like what's crazy too, is there's so many people that go through all of this stuff that like we've all gone through, and people stop connecting with you and stop talking to you and stop asking those questions, because they don't see eye to eye. There's a concept out there of mirroring people, and when you look at someone, you relate to them, and all of a sudden, like, our friends no longer relate to us, all because we've made that shift of almost like, it's not that people are not grateful, it's not that our friends are not grateful, it's just that all of a sudden the person that they know us to be is shifting into something like, whoa, that's not what I signed up. And it shifts, and it's really hard to not be in a negative place and just go back to where we were before, because we still want our friends, because they're amazing, they're beautiful people, but I feel so much better on this other side about myself. And it's like, I need to fill my cup first and then see where that goes. Absolutely. And that's a really hard thing to do. Very, very difficult.
It's funny, right? Because when you first start, I remember when I first started in the business, and like you were saying, Kim, about how you're just surrounded by such incredible people who lift you up, right? And you're having all these incredible conversations, and you just, I found myself talking about it all the time, and a lot of my friends were like I can see from their point of view be a bit much, and like Beck said too, right? Like, it's different, because now all of a sudden you're talking about different things, and sometimes for people that's scary, right? And I'm always very mindful not to like, oh my god, but at the same time, I just want everybody to feel how I feel.
Yeah.
Right? And I want exactly great conversations with people to open up their minds to what I'm learning, because I'm learning so much, right? And it's just it's such a fulfilling thing that but then
you just want to share it. It's like, it's just a natural feeling of wanting to share. Like, you know, when you see a good deal at the store, you want to tell everybody about it, right? Like, it's just your feeling about it, and it's just Like people ask me all the time, they're like, why do you keep posting about you and Ian? Because I have gone through this part of our relationship and now I'm here. And if there's anybody else, like even if it's just one couple on my whole Facebook feed that's feeling that crappy, and they're like, wow, there's hope. What do I do? What, like, even if it's one post, one quote, one picture, whatever it is, right? And at the end of the day, if you seeing my post of me being happy makes you feel crappy, then I'm sorry. Like, that's not my problem. That's your problem, right? Like, it's own your own stuff. I'm owning it. I'm happy. I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, constantly, like, it drives people crazy. I know before I started my journey in personal development and all of this online, we were on Facebook. It was so negative. Like, our news feed was not nice at all. And then now, after the shift, I get messages all the time like, what are you doing? It's inspiring. Like, whatever it is, like, talk to me about it. It's not even about business. It's just like, how are you all of a sudden just so much more okay with yourself and positive, all of these things. But I also get messages of like, yeah, like, seriously, what is happening right now? Like, driving me crazy. Your posts are making me nuts. And it's like, well, there's an follow button that you can hit. And that one person, like, it hurts my heart when you get those messages, but it's not that I hurt for myself. I hurt for in how dark of a place you're in to actually feel that towards somebody that is made such a massive shift to save their relationship, to save their mental state, to everything, just to like grow their family and grow their life. And it just hurts because you want them to feel how good we feel. But yeah, everybody does. And when people send those messages, it makes them feel better if they're bringing us back down. But we're just trying to bring everyone up. So the answer to give to those people that say those things to us is not going to be what they want to hear. Because they need a little work. But at the same time, it's like all of these inspiring messages that we get, like even just one a month, one a year, it doesn't matter. One person is affected and is changing their life is like the most important thing. That like all we did was because we wrote a post online about how we've changed our life. It's incredible. It's an incredible feeling. Like automation, the internet, everything is just like, what?
Yeah.
How is this even possible?
Yeah, and then it becomes a ripple effect, right?
Exactly.
All of a sudden,
exactly.
all people are seeing things a little differently, or reaching out and saying thank you. Like, how many messages I'm sure you guys have gotten from people saying, really needed to hear that today, and like being such a light, right?
Yeah. And just being more vulnerable. Like, people are so closed off and so afraid of what other people think and what this person is going to say if I do this and if I say this. And I'm like, and I was like that too, Paulette. Like, and there's still times where I'm like, stop caring about what other people think. Stop hesitating about pressing post before I do it. Right. But on the same token, there's so many more people on the flip side that are like, thank you, than people who are like Debbie Downers and like, oh, stop doing this, stop doing that, blah, 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 And like, even at our wedding, we had people who have known us for the last 13 years, or known me anyways for the last 13 years. And they've signed on our picture frame thing. They signed and they said, thank you for continuing to inspire us. Like, thank you for showing us that true love exists. Thank you for showing us that you can continue and work through your crap and come out on the positive side. And, those messages trump all the other crappy ones by tenfold, right? And like, why would you want to stay in a negative Debbie Downer state? Sometimes you don't realize it until you are surrounded by positive people. But you know what I mean? Like, it just fascinates me how people, and it's just like human condition, your brain automatically goes to the path of least resistance. And it's way easier to sit on your couch and do sweet F all, right? As opposed to actually do something about it and invest money into it, talk to people, be vulnerable, step out of your comfort zone, like all of those things, trust me when I say at times they're difficult, but is the reward way greater than the difficulty that I had to do it? Like, gosh,
Do you know
yeah,
what's cool is that and that being, it's not always sunshine and rainbows, right? Like I just had a really, Bex and I both had, we both have had like a pretty shitty couple weeks.
mm-hmm.
And but the fun part, the cool part about it is we're surrounded by such incredible people that they're helping us to like get back out, whatever it may
Yeah,
be. They're
yeah,
helping us to get out of that negative state, because
yep.
you're always going to have that. You're
Oh
always
yeah,
going to have up,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
always inevitable.
But
That's
to choose the people that are going to help you lift you up as opposed to sit there and wallow with you, right? Like you sit, sure, maybe you do, maybe you want to sit there and wallow with a friend for 10, 15 minutes, but then what? Like choose and move. Let's make something else out of this. Let's talk about something else, like whatever the case is, right? But um to really, like for Rebecca and I, it's really having kind of that accountability partner of like, why is my brain going there? Like, what is this about, kind of thing, right? And then coming back and be like, oh well, just talking it through and being like, okay, I'm fine now. you know, like really having a genuine conversation is all I can bring it back to. Like that's the basics of it, right? Like it's really having a genuine, honest, vulnerable conversation and
cheers.
knowing that
Cheers to
people
that.
have your back.
Yeah, let's have a cheers. Let's have a cheers.
Cheers.
I poured a second beer, so let's cheers.
Look at this. This is my new mom cup that I got 9 years ago. This is what my hair looked like before I put it in a bun.
That's amazing.
Bex and I are new.
Oh my gosh, I love those. I love those.
So Paulette, let's just drop a little. We're gonna just drop a little bomb here.
Yeah.
Paulette took away a good 36 of these to get made. So
hello, my
yeah.
beautiful.
Did you really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
Is going to get dropped here soon. This is the announcement.
Whoop, whoop. That's exciting. Oh my gosh. I don't have a mic. I can't drop it.
No.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, blah, 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 blah. That's kind of my story. But basically, I'm super excited about helping people save their married life, couple life, whatever you want to call it, partnership, and really helping them see it from another perspective, that someone is not like so emotionally attached to it, and bringing light into the world instead of darkness, and just really seeing that.
And so important, like for this day and age too, is people get married and they're divorced 9 months later, and they get married again and then they're divorced like 8 months later, and it's like, where is the work? Marriage and life together with a partner is not all sunshine and rainbows, and you're not always going to have a lusting stage. Like everyone, so many people think in that lusting stage that you're in love, and it's the beginning, and then you just go boom, 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 and it's so quick. That's not always going to turn into love.
Yeah.
But it's so important to see what each other's goals are and where each other stands in a relationship. Where do you want your life to go? And all of the things of like that encompasses it. Like I was 19 when I met Kent. I had no idea what the heck I wanted to do. And in the last year of it, we've like I used to say all these things to him of like, I want to travel, I want to do this, I want to do that. And he'd look at me like I was crazy, and he'd be like, I want to be in the bush hunting. So I don't know.
I'll see you over there. And
he's like, I'm probably not going to leave Canada, so unless it's to a hunting show. Like that's how. Now both of us just want to travel the world. We're so things going. Like we're finally booked our wedding date after being engaged for 5 years. Like it's just like crazy how if you don't give up, like you really, really work. Like you can see this person inside of the person that you love. Like you can see them, but they're not coming out. Like it's so important to like push and find a way to get them to some sort of course or read some kind of book that just like pulls something out. And it's like, okay, like this isn't so bad. Like life's not so hard. I'm making it hard. Like, and like Kim she's so open that they've seen a counselor. They have a like this coach that is like this incredible person that I hear about all of the time. And now Kim is going to do that. And I'm like, this is so perfect. Like,
Yeah.
I
it's
think
like, don't ever be embarrassed to reach out to somebody or scared to go and talk to someone about your relationship, because that's like, I know Kent and I used to talk all the time that we were going to go see a counselor. Did we ever do it? No. So like, yes, I wish we did, but no, I wish we didn't, because now I know where we are now. Just part of our, it all happens. But as it becomes more accepted and real, and like, it's okay to talk to people, and that's normal. Like, go talk to people. You feel so good about it. You feel amazing and empowered afterwards. Like, it's, I think it's amazing that you're going into this, Kim, because you're just so perfect for it. Like, talking to, you're calm, it's amazing. Like, anybody needs someone to talk to, you reach out to that girl, because
Thank you. I'm super excited.
yeah.
Do you know what I think is really cool too? Is that this all started, like you said, Kim, it all started by wanting to make more money, and just like, it all started about the business part, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
And that's the, like, you know, people often ask me, they're like, oh, do I have to travel like you do? Or do I have to post all the time like you do? Or things like, I'm like, no, you do what works for you. I want to travel. That's what I want to do. I want to post all the time. That's what I do. But, you know, like, from the age of 18 to the age of whatever, you can be in this business and you can make it work for you and whatever you want to do and what your goals are. And I wanted to point out, Rebecca, when you were talking about Kent, like, oh, I want to go traveling and he wants to go in the bush, coming to a point of really respecting each other's values and nurturing those values, right? Like, if you're going to resist him going hunting all the time, it's just going to create this rift. And it's going to be, screw you, I want nothing to do. And the same with you with traveling, right? If he were to tell you, oh, you're not allowed to go traveling, blah, 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 right? And it's coming to a point of understanding what your highest values are and what his highest values are, and really respecting those. And how can I help you and how can I serve you in those values? You know, like, if it's allowing you to go hunting for a week, then it's allowing you to go hunting for a week. Okay, so how are we going to do that on the flip side? You know, so
I think that's such a good point, because like, literally just exactly what you just said. So in the last couple of weeks, Ken was away at work, and then he was home for a day and a half, and he went away hunting, and then he was home for 24 hours, and now I'm back to 10 days of him gone at work. And if I was to rewind like a couple of years ago, like 2-3 years ago, and this happened, I would be so mad about how I feel. I'd be off that he went hunting, that I saw him for 24 hours. I'd be angry, frustrated that my week didn't go as planned, that nothing went smoothly, whatever it was. But now I just find, like, yes, I had a rough week. Yes, I feel a little bit defeated inside. But I get up every morning and I restarted my gratitude, because I recognized that I was feeling low, and like, I don't ever hold anything against him. Instead, I talk to him about my feelings, and it's just like, oh man, rough. But it's got nothing to do with the fact that he was away. He had an amazing time. He had so much fun. He talked to me about all these photos. I was like, this is so great. And instead of being, I used to sit there and he'd be so excited to come home. I remember this. He'd be so excited to come home. He'd throw all the pictures on the TV, and I'd be like, do you know how shitty my month was? That you were gone? Like, I look back and it's, whoa, how unsupportive is that? I was so engulfed in how I felt. But now it was like, I'm okay that you go away for a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying months and months and months, but I'm just saying, like, it's okay to support them, to do some of the things, like, to support our loved ones and what they do. And like, it's a massive shift. Like, I've never been okay with him going away. I've always said I was okay with it, but I've never actually been okay.
Deep down. Yeah.
It's an incredible feeling to switch that. And like, like, just thinking like, yeah, I had a week, but I don't blame any of it on the hunting.
Just recognizing that you need the same thing as well as him, right? So like, your time to fill your cup however you need, but he also needs his. And if you two can figure out how to support each other in that, like, what a gift.
Yeah. Because essentially it's filling up his cup. And when his cup is full, he's going to help you fill up your cup, right?
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Exactly.
The one thing that stands out to me when you were talking about the resentment and that, we often talk about the 3 R's in counseling, which are resistance, resentment, and then revenge. And if you basically stop it at the resistance, when you feel that resistance of whatever situation it is, before you actually get to the resentment part, it's way easier to deal with whatever you're dealing with. Because when you're in a state of resentment, you could literally like smack me upside the head, whatever you wanted to do. I'd be like, no, I'm done. You know, I don't want to talk about it. I'm pissed off about it, whatever else, right? And then if you really go past that point, it turns into revenge. And there's people that go years and years and years in those states. And then they go, oh, my wife walked in today and she wants a divorce. Like, how many years have you been in that stage? Right? So anyways, it was that popped up when you were talking about the resentment and really just feeling crappy. You know, like, so anyways, that's
Totally.
crazy.
Like, I know even just in the 10 years that Kent and I were together, like, there was so many times, like, I even left twice. And it was just like, there's so many times that you're like, I'm leaving, because you're so resentful. And then someone can say the perfect thing to you and you're like, okay, I'm back. And it's washy. But now, like, when I look at it, I can't even remember the last time that we fought, which used to be a regular occurrence, because now it's like we sit down and it's like we look at each other and it's like, what now? Fun is feeling, talk about the thing, and it's like we break it down and it's never an attack on each other.
Yeah.
It's over in like 2 minutes. Yeah. Like,
what an amazing feeling.
The dishes in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
A little unsupportive.
Instead of waking up the next morning and be like, you didn't put the dishes in the dishwasher?
And then it just snowballs from there, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anyways, I was saying
dishwasher? Like
I was saying earlier, I think it's really cool how the whole business part. So like, we start in this business because we want to make more money and we see all this success online and we want to learn a new skill. But honestly, the best part about it for me, and like Kim, you're the perfect example. You have found your purpose.
Yeah.
Right. And all because you joined this online business. Like, it blows a lot when you break it down. And when people talk to me about the business, I'll talk to them about, like, you know, what it is that we do and how it works. Yeah. But I always talk so much more about the self-development part of it, because that part of it is what has like totally changed me. Yeah, it's like exactly.
Yeah. That's like, phew. You know, I'll never forget, we were at a mastermind with Matthew Jang one night, and somebody asked him something or whatever, and he said to us, there's like 80 people in the room or something, and he says, did you honestly, I didn't hear what Rebecca said. I'm assuming she'll be right back. He said, did you honestly think that when I thought about creating this business that I wanted to create thousands and thousands of affiliate marketers, just affiliate marketers? I was like, oh, no. He's like, I wanted you guys to like live out your purpose and find what you wanted to do. And, you know, if you use that as a side gig to be able to build your dream or to build your dream house or to whatever the case is, right? He's like, I didn't create this for you guys to all be like computer nerds into affiliate marketing. I created this so that you could actually work on yourself and figure out what you wanted to do. So anyways, it reminds me of that often, because everyone's so fixated on like, oh my gosh, I'm part of this online business. And then there's like this big looming bubble over your head of like, you know, but really at the end of the day, half the time I never start with that anyways. I talk about it at some point, but I never start with that. I always talk about how it's really changed my perspective on life. It's changed my relationship. It's like everything around it, right? But it's so, it's fascinating. It's crazy. It's like our brains and how they work and how it automatically goes to that. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a minute. That's totally not what I signed up for. You know? And
talk about, like, we talk about people now, and it's like, how many talk about it, and then you talk about it with so much passion, and they're like, that person's a little bit crazy. Like, that doesn't sense. Like, there's no way.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy. Like,
yeah.
But then all of a sudden, it's like you come to the other side, and you're like,
there's no going back.
Like, I get
it. Now I know what you're talking about. Oh my gosh, totally. No. So, anyways,
watch people.
You know, it's okay. It's okay to like. There's often this like moment of where people are like, "Oh, I haven't seen you post. Are you still doing that online thing?" Yes, I am. You know, like I can take a break because it's my online business. I can do as I wish. Like I don't go asking you, "Hey, you called in sick today." You know, like, are you okay? Are you still at work? Are you still making money? Like, blah, blah, like, why? Like, there's this, like, anyways, it's mind-boggling.
It's like, okay, I'm going to drop a big thing here because this is Kim and I have a goal right now for a 1-year goal. Like, that's the cool thing about all of this. We've set these goals that, like, make us so unbelievably uncomfortable that you work so hard, because if a goal doesn't make you uncomfortable, like, what's the motivation to get there and work your butt off to do it and accomplish it? And so in 1 year, Kim and I have this like goal that we're setting out to reach, and we're heading to Disney World with all the kids and our hubbies literally after mine and Kent's wedding, literally, which is like right after this huge course we're going to. Like, that's a huge figure of like this goal, and I'm putting it out to the universe right now because we're gonna be taking our families to Disney World together in literally less than a year now. And it's like, we got a lot of work to do, but it's so exciting to goals and do these things that are like, that just push us. Like, that's what
remember
have. Like,
remember when I told you that goal didn't scare me?
Yeah.
Now it does.
They put it out there.
Like, shit, she made it public. Totally. Oh gosh. No, it's I don't know what scares me most, like getting to Disneyland or being in Disney World. Like, kids in Disney World sounds really chaotic to me, but whatever.
It'll be amazing. So
yes. Yeah.
All right.
Oh my god. Okay, ladies, it's getting late at your house.
I was gonna say, we've been on here for probably just over an hour.
Kim has
serious value for us tonight, and I think we need a cheers.
Cheers.
Even though I'm the only one drinking beer. Cheers.
I'll drink some tea. Cheers, ladies. Thank you so much for having me on. That was awesome.
Thanks for coming.
I'm sure I've forgotten a few things that I wanted to share, but nonetheless, it'll come out at some point in my life.
We'll have you back, don't you worry.
Yes. I'm excited. Thank you for everyone who stayed on and hopped on and in and out. And I see there's like 31 comments. I can't see them, but I see there's lots of them. So that's awesome.
I've got some value out of this. If you're catching the replay and you watched it all the way to the end, like, just let us know. We love this. Everyone, also, if you just had a drink with me, because I'm drinking alone tonight.
And I do want to mention that if ever anybody who is watching who's not part of the community and wants to know about the events, that they can always reach out to either of us and kind of ask them questions, and because anybody is welcome to the events.
Yeah, that's a huge. These events that we talk about does not mean you have to join a business. It does not mean that we any sort of commission on it. It is literally, we are talking about these events because they have completely altered the way we feel inside, and we just we just wish that everyone out there can feel the like peace inside that we feel with who we are, regardless of what our history is, our past, and everything. We have ways of getting each and every person in touch with the right people to get to these events.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing, like when Ian and I went to our first one, and we noticed the age range, like people as young as 17 to all the way. There was a gentleman there that was 72 when we were there. And quite frankly, there's always been more men than women. And that blows my mind. But there's always been more men than women, and of all ages. So honestly, like there's no limits to it.
And then once you experience it, you realize how cheap it was.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
So worth it. Okay, ladies.
We love you. Thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, ladies.
Thank you. Okay.
Have a wonderful evening.
And we will chat later.